You got the keys. You got the keys. You got the keys. You got the keys.
Hello and welcome back to Astrological Intentions. I am your host, Alex Reevy, along with my cosmically clever mother, Sandy Reevy.
Hi, Alex. I'm Sandy.
Hi. So we have a special astrological interview for you all, and this is our Bali Babes time. We are getting ready to go on our annual retreat to Bali, Indonesia, and we wanted to bring two of our attendees who are absolutely wonderful, beautiful women, and they have actually attended a lot of our retreats. So they will give you the 411 on all of the Intention Bead retreats. So let's get started.
Welcome, Bridget and Joanne. I know you were both in Bali with us last year. Actually, Bridget, you were there the year before also. So tell us why you came to join us in Bali a couple years ago.
Well, the first time I went, it was a huge leap of faith. It sounded interesting and magical and exciting. And I just decided to do it. And one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Wow, that's a big statement.
Obviously, I went back for a second year and am now going back for a third year.
Yay! Woo!
Really. And Joanne, tell us your answer.
Well, I guess the thing that I was a little bit afraid of was the fact that I didn't know astrology as well as I thought I needed to in order to be with a group of women that know astrology as much as all of you do. And I think that was my biggest fear. Adventure, I think you all know I learned that I don't let things stop me in life from doing things. And especially at my age, I figure, what the heck? It's, I'm just going to enjoy every single minute of it. And I did go to your Mexico trip, kind of a trial, just to see how I was going to enjoy it, and if going to the other side of the world, if that would be something I would enjoy. And after the Mexico trip a year ago, I realized that my instinct was correct because I love both of you. I've known you for about 5-6 years now.
We love you too.
And I just knew that it was going to be something that I can trust would be an adventure that I would never regret. And I can wholeheartedly say that that's true. And that's why I went to Mexico again this year. And I'm going back to Bali again this year.
I know. We're getting excited. We're so excited. So a little bit about our Bali retreat. We have, and it's an intimate group. We don't have these really large groups of, people where you kind of get lost in the crowd. This is very individual. You wind up being your own person there. And it's we do about 2 weeks, just under 2 weeks in Bali because we really want the whole Balinese experience.
Well, it's April 15th. We're starting around 5 p.m. Bali time. On April 15th, it's a Monday. And we'll be finished by the 26th on Friday. So that's about 12 days. So that's a long period of time to be, in our group, so far away from home. However, it's the only way to do Bali.
Right.
It's the only way.
So I want to know from Bridget and Joanne, what was the time frame like being in Bali for that long?
Oh, it went by very, very quickly. I mean, yes, you have the travel time. And again, I'm used to traveling long distances, but it is definitely worth it. But you definitely want to have those 10 or 11 days there because the experience that you have, one of the awesome things are the women that do come on these trips. It's just a great experience to get to know them and to become friends. And I believe that we are going to be friends for the rest of our lives.
I agree.
That's beautiful. And it has been that way so far, right? It's been a year and we're still all good friends from our group.
Right. And I think Joanne also made a good point because a lot of people are worried about, like the 24-hour time frame it takes to get to Bali. So, Bridget, do you have any comment on your travel?
Well, it does take a long time to get there. But it's really not that bad. You take a couple flights and you watch some movies and you're so excited to get there. Yeah, it's a trip. It's the longest trip I'd ever taken, but that should be no reason to hold anyone back.
Right. And I mean, I feel like it's like the one. Go ahead, Joanne.
And as you know, what I did is because we were flying on Qatar Airlines, when I got to Qatar, I ended up spending 5 days there because that broke my trip up going out there, that I had the 12 hours to Qatar. I had then 5 days in the town and then the other trip to get to Bali. So if you break it up and you go somewhere else, and that's what I'm looking for right now, is where do I want to go this year?
That's awesome. That's so awesome.
Right. That's a brilliant way to do it. However, I know that I couldn't do that, to spend 5 days somewhere, but that's brilliant that you get to hop somewhere halfway.
And some people even just did an
Yeah.
overnight, an overnight,
True.
say, I think it was like either in Singapore or Seoul, but that's another way to like recalibrate your body instead of really, jumping from one plane to the other.
Sure. You could do Hong Kong also.
Yeah, Hong Kong. And so tell me what, because you guys have been on so many retreats with us. Why come back? What's the
question.
draw to come back?
I mean, there's so many things to choose from. For one thing, you increase your knowledge of astrology every time. You learn a little bit more about your own chart and yourself. You learn something new every single time. The beauty, I mean, Bali, just everything is beautiful. You look at things differently, you feel differently. It's almost like being on another planet. I mean, there's just beauty in everything in Bali. Every day is something new and special.
You're giving
totally
me goosebumps
agree.
over here. Seriously, that was beautifully said.
I'm getting so excited to go back.
Wait, just the fact that you said you see things differently. That's really a good vision of this, right?
Yeah, one of the big things that I always think about is we were at someone's home and they were making dinner for us, and we were in their kitchen, and they told us that basically they go out and get food every day. Like, why would you get more than what you needed for that day? And when I come back home, I translate that into why do I need so much? Like, I have enough in this moment and I have enough for today. So it alters the way you see things. And even if you're not trying to bring back lessons and great understandings, it just seeps into you and it's just with you.
Yeah.
Totally
And
agree.
if I can just add to that, that was an absolutely wonderful experience because we did a cooking class, and a couple of things that the gentleman had mentioned. It's a compound where his entire family lives, and that he mentioned that they plant their crop, and if they take care of it, they have their food. They're pretty much self-sufficient. They don't do outside shopping. They don't have refrigeration, and they live for today. They don't worry about tomorrow.
It's so crazy.
And it is. And it just left me with that feeling. Don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will take care of itself. Enjoy the present. Enjoy who you're with today. Enjoy the present. And I thought that was, Bridget, I agree with you. That was one of the most wonderful experiences we had, plus all the other ones. But it was just, you came back with that sense of calm, of this sense of, yeah, today is the most beautiful day of my life.
Right, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And even in just a cooking class, Dewa was his name, but Dewa he was so effervescent and so full of life. It wasn't, where he was just, a huge character. He was very, kind of like still and solemn, but you were just attracted to like the words that were coming out of his mouth, even if it was broken English. But one of the coolest things is that, a lot of people get confused with the idea that like when you're in the present moment and you're in the now, like you aren't responsible, where you're just like overindulging. But really what his message was is that you still need those responsibilities. You really need to plant your crops and take care of them every day. But today is the day you can control. This is the moment that you can, give nutrients to your crops and water them and say hello to your family the way that you want to. That you're treating those and nurturing those things in your life the way that you want them to be harvested.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know that particular cooking class, they only kill a chicken when they have guests. And this is how the reverence and honoring someone into their home is. They killed a chicken earlier that day for our nourishment, our food.
And not all the groups get that.
No.
Right. It's majority of the time vegetarian.
Right.
Yeah.
So, most of Bali is vegetarian, but there are non-vegetarian dishes, and we have the option of ordering.
Ooh, that's
both
also,
of that.
Yeah. So tell us about the food.
Good question.
What did you like about the food?
Well, I actually liked that it was vegetarian because you just feel a little healthier eating that way. But it's good. I mean, it's good. It's flavorful. It's fresh. A lot of times you actually get to see the people prepare the food, which is great. But then if you want something different, there's tons of great restaurants and you can really get anything you want. So, we ate a lot of traditional Balinese food. But then sometimes we went out and had something not so traditionally Balinese.
Pizza? Like pizza, Mamma Mia pizza.
Right. So you can get anything you want there, but the food is amazing.
Right. And so, Joanne, you're pretty much unofficially known as our foodie in the group.
That's true, Joanne.
And so tell us a little bit about what you thought.
Well, like we went for the first day that we were there a couple of days early, and we went to that fest. And there we tried a lot of the different Balinese foods just off of the carts and as the people were making it. And that was such a great introduction into the type of foods that they would have. And I just found it interesting that they could use the same types of foods that we had, but much fresher and a lot different. A lot of the different fruits that we tried were, some of them were good, some of them tasted all right, and one of them we didn't even put it in the car as we were driving because it just had such a stench.
Oh, right.
And yet they enjoy, the different types of food that you don't have in the Western hemisphere. It was just totally different. And again, the way they prepared it. And they really respected, I guess they enjoyed the Americans that come there and people from the other countries. And they were all very friendly at the restaurants. We were treated beautifully. Mm-hmm. And the same thing with the drinks and everything else that we got there was fresh and very, very timely and beautiful.
Yeah. And so that one fruit that Joanne's talking about that we couldn't have in the van because it smelled so bad is called durian. And if you don't know what durian is, please let me educate you because it is the stinkiest fruit in the entire world, I'm pretty sure. So it kind of smells like a mixture of like BO/dirty feet. However, you either absolutely love it or you absolutely hate it. So but I think overall, universally, the smell just is gross.
Yeah,
I think everyone thinks that they hang it outside of the cars.
Yeah, on the back bumper. So it doesn't stay inside. Yeah, I know that we, at some point in the retreat, we had all the unusual mangosteen, and soursop. And we did a whole cuttings of all of the different fruits so everyone got to taste it. And I remember some people would smell the durian and go, oh, no. And then some other would say, let me try it. And they're like, oh, it tastes better than it smells.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness.
Yeah. But the food, I really specifically liked the Balinese coffee.
Yeah.
That is like powder. It's not it's a powder. So it's like an instant powder, not crystals. And you just add it with hot water, and that I always bring a big pouch of that home with me. Now, your favorite might be the luwak coffee.
That is not, I actually didn't try it. I've never tried it, but that might be something that we should do this year, to try the luwak coffee. I mean, it's a little controversial, but it actually is a huge, I guess, like industry in Bali.
Well, we could go through a coffee plantation and take a tour through there. We can also see the animals, the luwaks that are in cages, because they feed the luwaks coffee beans. And the coffee bean goes through their system, is that to say, and then ends up on the bottom of the cage, a day later maybe.
Then they clean off the beans and then use those beans, so basically it's the digestive enzymes of the luwaks that attempt to break down the beans, but they're not able to. They kind of just like soften the coffee bean a little bit. And that is what they use. After they clean it off, they put it into the coffee or they blend, grind it up. And that is the type of coffee that luwak coffee is.
It's very expensive. And you can buy this at a cup at the restaurants. Or you can bring some home, but it's pretty expensive.
So we'll throw that around. We'll figure out if we're going to go to that or not this year. However, so I wanted to also ask a couple questions to Joanne and Bridget. What would be the best piece of advice you would give yourself before going to Bali? So either about, the length of the trip or, anything,
packing, or
how much money to bring, if that was something that you oversaw. But tell me something, a piece of advice or multiple pieces of advice, because I think that going halfway around the world is kind of a big deal to some people. And when you're so far away from home, it's like, oh, I can't forget anything. So tell me what you think.
I mean, I have a few. I guess one, when you were talking about packing, just to remember that Bali is a different place. You don't need your curling iron and your full makeup kit with you. And, you want clothes that are comfortable and easy. And it's all about relaxing. And you're not trying to impress anyone in Bali. And it's okay just to be the way you are, and don't drive yourself crazy packing cute outfits. I mean, you can bring cute outfits, but, it's about being comfortable and relaxed and
breathable.
Not worrying and breathable. Yes. And lightweight and no sleeves and nothing needs to be ironed.
Right. No high heels.
No high heels.
Right.
Oops.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say one more thing that, and it's hard when you're going somewhere you've never been, but I was so filled with expectation and excitement, but what is it going to be? What are we going to do? How's this going to work? Just to let all that go and just trust that you are going on an adventure of a lifetime and not go with a lot of expectations, because things just unfold magically when you're there. And you just get so immersed in the culture, in the beauty, in the people who are the kindest people I've ever met.
True that.
Amen to that.
And just know that, you're in good hands there.
Aw, I love that.
Safe. I like that security and safety that you just built. Joanne?
Right, and I was going to reiterate that even though there is a very calming, very natural, like Bridget said, just kind of go with the flow. There's always Sandy and Alex that are there, that if we needed something, that our needs were taken care of. Mm-hmm. I don't think there was anyone that had any health or any issues that needed immediate care. But even if we wanted something, if someone wanted a acupuncturist, and they found one and came in and gave us a session. If people wanted massages in their rooms, that was taken care of. They know the lay of the land, and both Sandy and Alex, as they say, give you that comfort that you will be taken care of, so you can sit back and you don't have to think about what time do I have to be here? They're going to remind you.
Alex will remind you. I will remind you.
Right. And the itinerary that they had is flexible, but yet we had a lot of exciting things that we did. And again, like Bridget said, there's so many things to do there, and yet you can do them or you don't have to. You can sit back and read a book, which I don't recommend because, you are on the other side of the world and it is a totally different country. Things are very reasonable there. After being in Qatar and in Hong Kong, where those are a lot more expensive, Bali is much more reasonable and you get a lot more for your buck there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Shopping.
I mean, it's pretty crazy. I mean, everything from like the shopping to the food. When we're staying at the majority of time that we stay at Melati Cottages, which is one of our favorite little resort centers there, not only because it is like so traditionally Balinese, but because the people there are halfway turning into our family. It's this beautiful place, in Ubud, Bali, that is more like Penistaan area, but it's calming and we have everything we need there. And really you can just walk down the path and just go to the closest warung or juice bar or, and
Alchemy is right across the street, which is like the famous vegetarian restaurant in Ubud.
Yeah. Yeah. And so any other pieces of advice that are kind of coming to mind?
Well, let's talk about shopping for a minute.
Oh,
because, like Joanne brought it up, it's a big tourist attraction and there is so much to buy there. So what kind of piggybacking on what you said, Bridget, if you forget something, especially in clothes, you're going to want to buy clothes. So really, less clothes is best clothes.
I even sometimes tell people just bring a suitcase that's empty, or bring a duffel bag that's empty that you can then add as maybe your second, carry-on when you're on your way back, because you will want to bring that much back.
Well, what someone did? Someone one year donated some of the clothes that they no longer wanted because they replaced them with some new Balinese clothes. They gifted them to some of the, our cooks and our housekeepers. For the Western wear. Yeah.
That's really,
how cool
I didn't
is
know
that
about
idea?
that.
Yeah.
That is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
That is, that's kind of funny. This would be a very crazy aside about the Boston Marathon where you wear clothes that are very worn or that you want to kind of give away. And when you're, warming up in the Boston Marathon, you kind of throw off your jacket, but you throw it on the ground and then people come by and collect it for charity. Mm-hmm. I didn't know about that. I just learned that the other day. So it kind of reminded me of that. Anyway, so yes, the shopping is incredible and it's not necessarily just clothes.
Well, but this is where Bali sterling is handmade. So jewelry, especially.
What were some of your favorite purchases, Bridget and Joanne?
Well, I think everyone knows my favorite purchase, which I think 4 of us ended up buying them, was the hand drum.
Yes.
Wait, really, I just want to let all of our listeners and you, Joanne, because you're remote from the studio. So we have me, Sandy, and Bridget sitting here in the studio. And as soon as you said that you think that we all know, we all looked up at the ceiling to think. And all of a sudden, at the same time, we all are banging a drum with our hands in the air as you're talking. I just had to say that.
Yeah, the pan drum. Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Number one, we did, I think, get a very good price on that. And I think that's why, but the gentleman was still making money because he kept coming back every other day with 2 more orders and 3 more orders that people wanted. They aren't light, so they did add to the weight of the suitcase coming home. But it just has such a soothing sound. And my granddaughters come and each of them have their own method of how they play it. One of them plays it with great vigor and uses the drumsticks and really pounds on it, where the little one just taps it, and it's just kind of a very mellow sound. And every time I hear it, I just remember Bali and remember the calm of the water and of the whole country that we're in, or the island. that was, I think, my most favorite purchase, besides the jewelry and the clothes and everything else.
And everything else.
And then, right. Well, then there was the market that we went to, and that you can walk and walk. I don't know how many acres that market is, but is that every day, or is that just a couple of days a week?
Every day.
Every day.
Oh, it is open every day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's like food
and that
market.
Was right by
there's
the palace.
Right across the street. There's like a food market that's like starts at like 5 a.m. and really kind of starts to close as the food sells out, because this is their, quote, grocery. This is where the Balinese families go every morning to get the food they need for that day. That's it. So it's where they go every day. It's their program.
And so Bridget, any favorite items that you brought back home?
I have a lot of favorite items that I brought back, but this year I'm going to buy a piece of artwork. There's amazing artwork everywhere. And they also make beautiful fabrics. So I may try and get some fabric this year.
Absolutely.
And woodworking.
And wood, so many beautiful wood carvings, statues, figurines.
What is that fabric called? Why am I blanking on it? It's not teak, because that's the wood.
Batik.
Thank you. I was like, what?
You were so close.
Was it bamboo?
No, batik.
Yeah,
It's batik.
Batik, the kind of like the fabric style that they have. Yes, and so pretty, and
They dye that, yeah.
and we get to go to the Terta pool, which is like a cleansing ceremony that we do to start off the retreat, and we get to all have some sarongs with the batik fabric and get to have our pictures taken, and kind of be in that sacred space of that wonderful temple.
Right, we go there. That'll be the first full day. We'll go there after our opening ceremony. We go there and get in the water and go to the 11 fountains and do our purification, and then put on our dry sarongs and sashes and go into the back and have a particular private ceremony with the priest who blesses us. Balinese style, and they teach us how to put our hands and how to do our prayer, and the flowers and the rice that goes onto the face and onto the side of your eyes and on your forehead, and really have a reverent, sacred moment, and that's pretty much from the time you wake up into the time you go to sleep. I mean, we laugh a lot. I mean, we drink our bintangs. And I mean, a bintang is $1.50. We have our wine, we have our cocktail, but it is a very reverent, very, they have flowers, fresh flowers that go onto the statues, these shrines, and every location has a shrine.
Right. And so even the offerings too, that I think you're also getting towards is, those are provided to their deities, to their, small little short temple areas, even outside of storefronts. They'll put these beautiful offerings that, you would probably want to have as a little, coffee table decoration, but instead it's right there on the ground, because that incense is still burning and the treat that they're giving their deity is still there. And it's just...
You have to walk around it, yeah.
They're always there. Think about the adventures that we've gone on in Bali, or an adventure...
The monkey forest was so exciting.
Tell me about that.
I just think about going into the monkey forest, and how the monkeys are just, they'll sit on your shoulder, they'll take food out of your hand. Alex, didn't they take one of your sandals one time?
So we saw that one year where the monkeys was seeing this woman's flip-flop that had like a big pretty white flower, like right where that the toes kind of come together. And so the monkey was just eyeing it and was almost timing her step, where as soon as the monkey, once she had her foot lifted up, to set it back down to take another step, here comes the monkey and whoosh, takes it straight off her foot. And she still took the step and was wondering where her shoe went. So,
No, but what, Joanne, the monkey pulled Alex's pants down.
oh yes,
Oh, that's right.
that's what happened.
And I weirdly have that on camera because I thought it was so cute. She was going to feed the monkey the banana, but it says signs everywhere. Remember, do not look the monkey in the eye.
That would be my
Right.
piece of advice for people, before going
That's
to Bali.
Don't look the monkey.
Don't look the monkeys in the eye. Oh,
And it's
man.
not that they get mean. I think it's that they become very attached or...
I think it's maybe a little bit of both.
Okay.
So I'm not really sure what goes on, but I think it's a form of aggression or it's a form of challenge. And then the monkey,
Challenge, there you go.
yeah, the monkey then kind of has to
Be in charge. Yeah.
excite themselves up to either get you out of the way or run away. So, but
Bridget, what was your favorite adventure?
I can't really think of one thing in particular. Everything keeps running through my head. Going to the rice fields.
Rice fields, the big path you took
gosh,
up.
it was so incredibly
beautiful.
beautiful. I had no idea what a rice field even was or looked like before I went to Bali.
Right.
And I have 50 pictures from that day. I mean, it's just gorgeous. And
What about your scooter ride?
my scooter ride was fun. So in Bali, people get around on scooters quite a bit, and you can get like a scooter taxi. And I was going for a massage one day, and he came to pick me up on his scooter. And I was very, very nervous because you go like up and down hills, you make these like crazy turns. But he had a helmet for me, so I was okay. But yeah, that was fun. It was, again, something I've never done before. I was riding around on a scooter in Bali.
Right.
How cool is that?
how cool is that? And Joanne, I think you had a similar story to share.
I did, and I would just tell everyone to be very careful when you're on a scooter, because if you lean a little too far one day, and that was just a total mishap. I had gone through the most wonderful experience with Sky Love, which was a massage out in the rice fields where in this room that you just looked up at the sky and with Sky Love. And it was just you felt like you were in another world. You were just so relaxed and so calm. And as we were heading back then, again, on the scooter, back to the cottages, it was a very narrow path through the rice fields. And there was a young girl, and I could see she was very nervous about coming past us. She was coming towards us. And Sky Love tried to stay as far to the left as he could, but we ended up, me headfirst, into the rice field. So my experience was, okay, so now I've had a full body mud bath at the same time. And it really, I didn't have any fear, wasn't hurt, nothing. And again, the people there were just so kind, took me back to where we had the massage and showered and just had mud everywhere in my purse and the helmet and everywhere. But they found the sandal that I lost. So I got to see the inside of a rice field. Not only on the top, but the inside of it, which, as I say, was a lot of fun. It really was.
Right. It's like the rice paddy, and it's pretty much like, you were pretty much a mud patty when you walked out.
Yes,
Right.
I was. And Alex, you were the first one that I saw when I came back to the cottages and was trying to empty my purse out, which was full of mud.
Right. But before I even knew that you had fallen into the rice paddy, I looked at you and I go, oh my gosh, you look like you're glowing.
Well, then that's the Sky Love. And, we had pulled him in like we did the year before to do a 2-hour
Sound journey.
Sound journey, gong bath. He came over to us. We all got to lay down and enjoy all of playing his music with all of his bowls and his didgeridoo and all of his chimes. And then we also invited another guest who is a nutritionist, Petra, who did some really interesting. She did it the year before as well and gave me some tips that I use to this day, every single day since she taught some of those practices 2 years now. that, we have other people coming in from Bali to teach some of the ways, some of their forte.
Yeah. Their specialties.
Of
course.
And then we stay at Melati Cottages for about 7 days, and then we move. We're planning on moving again this trip and moving closer to the water, because Ubud is in the center of the island where it's mountainous. It's
much more jungle-like.
Yeah, very, very foliage. It's really where the rice paddies are. And then the closer you get to the ocean, to the beach, it becomes a little bit more, less foliage and more beachy. So we did that last year, and we went to Seminyak, but we're going to go to a different place along the beach this year. So we're excited for that. So it's just a little different vibe, so that, you go all the way to Bali, you might as well see a little bit more of the island. Yeah. And then, of course, we make talismans, and then we have our special surprise that we do as a closing ceremony. So we're in from the day we begin to the day we end, kind of bookends into this really beautiful enlightenment of, learning a little bit more about your astrology, having workshops and adventures and day tours and trips. And we go to the Balinese dance one night, right?
So, and I also, I want to talk to Joanne and Bridget a little bit more of the astrology teachings, Sandy, that you provide. So tell me a little bit of what you learned during the retreat.
Well, I was actually just thinking about the astrology part, because we've been talking about all the other great things that we do. But the workshops that we have with Sandy are such a huge part of the trip. And you don't have to know a lot about astrology. You'll learn, you'll pick things up along the way. And the way Sandy teaches, it's suitable to every level. So some people came knowing a lot about astrology. I didn't really know anything the first time I went. Now I know so much more after going on many retreats. But what you learn, so you learn about astrology, but you learn about yourself, and you get your chart, and Sandy explains things to you. And one of the things that I learned, which was so interesting to me, I'm a Leo, and I've always been told I'm not a typical Leo. And I have friends who are Leos who are, loud and boisterous and like to be the center of attention. And that's never really been me. And so Sandy explained to me that the sign of Leo is in the 12th house for me. And the 12th house is where things are that we like to keep hidden. And it was just like, oh, light bulb moment. Like, I totally get that. That's why I'm not like every other Leo that I know that wants to be on stage the whole time. I'm a Leo. I still have that in me, but there's part of me that wants to keep that hidden. And that was just such a okay, I get that. That makes sense. Like, I've always wondered why I'm not like everybody else who I know who's a Leo.
So interesting.
Yeah, great aha.
Yeah, it was big. It was cool to know that. And no one, I've had astrology readings, not a lot, but throughout my life, and no one's ever told me that before.
Really?
Yeah. So it's cool.
Yay. Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. And when you can identify your chart with who you are, everything is in perfect timing, right? Yeah. Joanne, do you have any comments about the astrology readings?
Mainly that, again, the sessions are very, very important, and yet was my greatest fear, because I don't know astrology. I've only been in it now, a year and a half. No, just about a year. But that you make it, the way you present it, as Bridget said, it's on all levels. People that are brand new could get the basic knowledge that they need to get information out of it, as people that are more into astrology. And because you make it on a personal basis or personal level, that each and every person there gets to know who they are, why they do what they do.
Right.
And again, mine is a Libra, and I like things balanced. I like things fair. I like things equal, but I'm also a Cancer rising, which is, caring and family.
Mm-hmm.
So, the more I attend these sessions, the more I learn from you. And it's amazing the information that both you and Alex have, because we get something out of it every single time, and a lot out of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yay, thank you.
Because that's also kind of the way that we like to teach astrology. We like to teach astrology in a way that it has to do with you, but also where we can help people take the bridge way from not knowing anything about astrology to knowing something about astrology. Mm-hmm. And so whether that is and I love astrology for the reason that it is so, at the same time it's universal, it's so individual at the same time. So I think when we do our teachings, we like to keep it to a theme, whether or not it's like a Mercury day or a Venus day, and even, retrogrades, talk about that, talk about,
Well, I love it that if we have, like just say that there's 10 of us in the class at the retreat, that as everyone's like, quote, quote, living with these 9 other people through their astrology, they're getting to see, who does this, who acts like this, and this is why. And you're seeing how, 10 individuals get along through their astrology, and how we can each bring a skill or a talent into the group, and we can each stand as an individual. That's what I particularly like.
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree with that, because it winds up being one of my favorite things of our retreats.
Yeah.
Because everyone there isn't there to do the exact same thing. Everyone is there to show up as themselves. Mm-hmm. And it is this beautiful collection of people that come together, and they can just be themselves. They don't need to be, top of the class, best yogi, or you just show up as yourself, and you're acknowledged for that, and you're also loved for that. So I think that's maybe one of my favorite things when people start learning more and more about astrology, is that even when we're out to dinner, we could be like, elbowing the person next to us, being like, you can totally see her Leo rising right now, can't you?
Right. And we start the day with yoga.
I was just going to say, Bridget, starting the day with Bridget with yoga is one of the highlights of my trips, because it's just a beautiful way of getting me out of bed and enjoying it, which normally I like staying in bed. And yet when we're on the trip, Bridget's yoga sessions are just so refreshing, and you just feel so much better the rest of the day. And I think that's one of the great parts of the trip, too.
I agree with
Bridget.
you. Yeah. And so Bridget here on the call with us, she runs our yoga classes in the morning, and you can speak a little bit to them, because I'm, not as yoga-ish as you. But the cool thing about, what we're doing here is, Bridget's not necessarily just the yoga instructor. She's there doing her work as well. Same with Sandy and I. We're not just the hosts. We're, they're kind of working on our own things and really experiencing Bali. So, but tell me a little bit about, that yoga practice or that yoga teaching that you bring.
Well, first I'd like to say that Joanne, you are my favorite yoga student.
I try everything, can't do them all, but I do try.
I know. Yeah, it's not any crazy yoga. I mean, my goal in teaching classes on the retreats is to do something that everyone can do. Obviously we're all at different levels, and we have different ages, different body types. But it's really just about taking an hour and doing what you can do. So it's gentle. I, call it gentle or slow yoga. And it's just to make you feel good. I'm not trying to, make everyone learn how to do a headstand or anything crazy like that. But we push a little, but it's really just about starting the day feeling good. So you're in a good mindset to take on whatever the rest of the day brings.
Yeah, waking the body up. I like that.
Yeah.
And so, Bridget, you mentioned that, we have a whole wide range of, ages as well as skill levels as well. And so, because Joanne, you started this podcast with us saying, at my age, and I'm going to Bali and I'm being this adventurous individual. Tell me your age.
Well, I will be 70 at the end of this year.
See, and that's pretty amazing. And so if anyone's out there listening that says, "Oh, I'm too old to go to Bali," well, think again.
No,
Joanne will challenge you.
You can go to Bali. You can fall into a mud rice pad,
right,
and bounce right back up,
and do everything that's on the schedule. I mean, yeah, we have yo-yo time, and that yo-yo time is you're on your own. But you can use that time to go in and get a gelato. Take a time to, like you said, read, but why would you? Go into the pool. We always have a pool, so absolutely bring your bathing suit. It is warm.
The beautiful spas and the spa treatments that are there. Oh, my gosh. And the rose petals. Oh, my, they're absolutely fantastic.
So when you arrive, just like all the last years, when you arrive, you will be given, we complimentary hour and a half massage and then into the flowered bathtub just to sit and drink tea and drink milk.
It's our welcome gift to all of our attendees who take the 24-hour trip to Bali. I mean, we need to get them back and revived after that.
But however, they have many, many times during that time, that 2-week or 10-day event to go to, hair treatments, facials, hot stone massages, Balinese massages that are so affordable. I mean, most of these are under $20 American dollars. So that is a big thing to do in Bali, is to, have multiple massages. Yeah.
I mean, some people have done more than one massage a day.
No, I can't believe that.
Not Joanne.
No, never.
But it's that relaxation. It's really about taking care of yourself, eating the good things, there's nothing really going on in the evening. I mean, there's live music we could go to, but sometimes there's just like by sunset, which is a beautiful moment of the day to say, and day is done. Your body says, you know what, I'm going to just relax and enjoy for a minute, and then I'm going to head to bed, right? And the beds are comfortable. We all have the mosquito nets that go around the bed because it's kind of the Balinese style. So it's kind of comforting.
And the Balinese necessity.
Let's talk about temperature for a minute. We do go in April. We're past the rainy season, and we're right before the really, really hot seasons. Now, our rooms are air conditioned, our bedrooms, but everything else is open spaces.
I love my hand fan that I got in Bali, and I carry it around with me in my bag, and it is a lifesaver.
So everyone does buy a hand fan at some point.
Or 5.
For gifts. But I personally don't think it's too hot. I consider it hot. I mean, it gets in the high 80s. But, I'm not wearing my hair down. I've got my hair up, which I wear up anyway, but I'm not like the sweaty like hot.
Right. And I think it's the first kind of couple of days that you go through the transition. You're like, oh my gosh, it's really hot here. But then within a day or two, you're kind of like, oh, this is great weather.
Right.
Any comment? Bridget's
comments?
over here nearly laughing.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, it's hot. It's hot, but it's one of those things that you just accept. It's hot and great. I'm in Bali. Like, it's hot.
That's right.
Yeah. And there's always places for shade. There's always, some coconuts that they can crack open. I mean, you stay hydrated and it is not an issue.
Right. You either wear your yoga clothes in a sarong or your bathing suit in a sarong. It's flip-flops because you do take your shoes off to go into some restaurants or stores. So, easy on and off shoe. What do you think? Do you think, Joanne, is it steamy hot or doable hot?
No, it's hot, but it's definitely doable hot. You can't say it's dry heat, but your body adjusts to it in a day. It's definitely worth it. And we're not doing anything that's totally exerting. I mean, we're not climbing a mountain or we're not doing anything like that. It's definitely manageable and definitely pleasurable to be there.
Right. Let's talk about we talked about the flight being long and, like the circadian rhythm of trying to get your body. We're talking about, readjusting that time frame, like the jet lag when you arrive. That's why one of the things we suggest is if you do come with us to come early. And when you come early, we have a place, a big enough house that's off site from our retreat center where you can spend, it's extra cost, but very doable that you can get to hang out with the group or whoever arrives early can arrive with the group. And
yeah, we have a few more spots left, available for our little kind of pre-retreat, getting ready and getting excited, having our own, kind of adventures throughout the day. So I wanted to also open up for any last comments or last pieces of advice that you, Bridget, and you, Joanne, on the phone might want to share, maybe to somebody who is either on the fence about this or has always wanted to go to Bali, but just, with either how much it costs or the time. How would you talk to that person?
Well, I would say don't hesitate. It's a trip that's definitely worth it. As Bridget and I know, we're going back a second and third time. The one thing that I would suggest is if on the plane, I have found on long trips, if I end up sitting, that one of those neck wraps where it has the braces that hold the neck up is just so helpful that you can sleep sitting up and your head isn't bobbing. It was the best. And that's a little blow-up one, but it looks like a scarf. And that is very, very necessary, to have. But I, again, would not hesitate to tell anyone to go. It's a long trip, but you will not regret going.
Yeah, that long trip is kind of part of the journey, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, can I do that? Well, once you get on the plane, you're doing it. And you really amaze yourself, I think. I know I felt that way that first time I went, that capacity to stay here and not be jittery or, to watch movies or to have a plan and read a book. I had things to do. And gosh, you get off and you're in Bali and it's like, I did it.
Yeah, it winds up being like a 24-hour active meditation. I mean, it really does, because you're kind of in a time capsule. And when you look back or, even in the interim, I always look back and I'm like, wow, that was so fast.
Well, yeah, because you're moving forward, right? Our favorite airline is Qatar, and it goes into Doha, Qatar, which is in Saudi Arabia. I suggest that flight and you're going forward in time.
Right. And so Bridget, what would you say to somebody who's on the fence?
Well, I mean, there's so much. I guess I would just say that the Bali retreat is a little bit of everything, and you can take what you want. I mean, there's obviously the great astrological knowledge you'll gain about yourself. There's just the beauty of Bali. There's the ritual that you get to see. There's just the sacredness of being there. And, the joy of the people that are around you every day. And I can't think of anything bad to say about Bali. I mean, it's a once in a lifetime or a 3-time in a lifetime trip.
And you meet interesting and very friends for life. You make friends for life because you're getting to know them, not only just with traveling with them, but because of you're learning the astrology of who they are. Yeah. And not to be prying or anything, but just kind of like, oh yeah, that's why I'm that way, and that's why she's that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's accepting, and everyone, even me as a part of the group, I feel very accepted for being me, and it's a great feeling.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we're looking forward to this trip. It's coming up. It's almost 2 months away.
Right. And so if anyone is interested, there is a free astrology reading that you can have with Sandy regarding the Bali retreat. And basically, this is you and her talking one-on-one for about 15 minutes. She goes through your chart to see what's going on during those dates in Bali. And you also get to ask questions. What's going on? Do you think this would be a good idea for me? And she'll let you know if you're a good fit. So definitely sign up for that. You can go to our website, intentionbeads.com/events. And that's where you can sign up for your free reading, as well as put in your deposits to save your spot. And I will end on, well, I want to thank you, Bridget and Joanne, for, taking the time and teaching people about what Bali is about. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you for inviting us.
Thank you.
And I also have another one of our attendees from a past year, Barbara, and she wanted to have this input of getting on the podcast in whatever way she could. And she says, "It is impossible to sum up my recent Bali experience with Sandy and Alex in a short paragraph, but here it goes." I asked her to keep it short. "I have been on several spiritual journeys with other friends, but the Bali trip with Sandy and Alex was one of the best expeditions I have ever experienced. They did an amazing job of balancing every moment of our day with unforgettable experiences and opportunities. From enlightening classes, early morning yoga, amazing guest speakers, beautiful music, delicious local food, educational field trips, luxurious accommodations, and numerous surprise fun activities." That's a lot. "We were treated to the experience of a lifetime. I am not a rich woman, but the price of this trip was minuscule compared to the wealth of understanding and insight that I have gained. I felt safe, loved, and honored throughout the entire process of my personal life exploration and the discovery of this beautiful landscape and immersion with the people who call Bali home. Sandy and Alex have mastered the art of spiritual retreats, and I would recommend this journey to anyone. You will not regret the money you spent for something that I guarantee will forever change your life and help you on your road to enlightenment and peace."
Barbara,
mic drop.
Wow. That was beautifully said.
Yeah.
And so true.
So I wanted to end with that note. That it sums up a lot of it, but we got into some really awesome details here and fun stories. And I mean, you can tell that we're all very, very excited to go back to Bali, and we would love to welcome you into our community. So come on and get a free reading, talk with Sandy, put your deposits down. Bali is calling. So thank you all for listening for this episode of Astrological Intentions with an interview twist. This is all for these Bali Babes. We will see you again soon.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.